There it goes.
Good deal. Now that we're past the important stuff, I'm gonna go ahead and get the live Facebook feed going. But live YouTube, not Facebook. I can't even remember.
I heard a fun quote the other day. I was going to share with you guys. It said, "Don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait."
Oh, you just now heard that for the first time? It's been one of the most shared quotes ever.
Yeah.
Raise
I
your
just
hand if you're not on camera. I get it. I can't see you. There's only four of you I can see. The rest of you don't exist. Dead to me. Not really. But it's better to see your faces. Now, who wants to be a real estate investor? Okay. Right. That's the thing. A real estate investor is someone who owns a property that they don't live in because they're using it for some type of investment vehicle. Either it's a short-term rental, a long-term rental, or a crack house. So I think every one of us should aspire at one point to be a property owner, then a multiple property owner. Do you agree?
and everybody on the call is a real estate investor because if I brought you the right deal, you would buy it.
I have five rentals now. I had 13 at one point. It was the best we did, but it was I own a bunch of trailers and a trailer park too. I can tell you that it's one of those things in life that happens so gradually and then all of a sudden that you're like, wow, I don't know how I'm ever going to make this happen. But if you can put away two, three, $400 a month, $500 a month, just forget you have the money, put it in a sock drawer, put it in an account, go get a bank account at a bank across town that you don't like, that you can mobile deposit or wire transfer money into every month. And if you're putting $500 a month away, what is that per year? Bueller. This is, I want you guys to actually do the math. Someone other than Jim. It should be a very simple math.
6,000.
6,000, right? $6,000 a year. You do that for 3 years, right? I know, Jan, but 3 years is a long time from now. Yeah, but 3 years is also not that long because you can save up $18,000. $18,000 will definitely give you enough money to buy something to be your own if you don't have a house yourself now. It'll definitely put down your down payment for let's do the quick mathing on it, right? Anthony, how much down payment do you need for an FHA loan? What's the percentage?
3.5.
3.5%. So if I have $9,000, we're taking that 18,000, we're cutting it in half, right? So if I have $9,000 to put down on a house, okay, that means I can buy divided by 0.035 means I could buy a $257,000 house. If I have, because you still need money for your closing costs, right? But if we had the seller pay the closing costs and we can put $15,000 down on our down payment divided by 0.035, that means we could buy a $428,000 house. A lot of buyers out there need to have this conversation. A lot of investors need to have this conversation. If you currently own a house now, the best way to get an investment property is to buy your next house and keep this house. But the only way that works is if you don't rely on the equity in the house you're in to get to the house you're going to. Rely on strategic planning, right? If you want to buy a house this year, fantastic. You better have the money. If you want to buy a house next year, fantastic. Start saving the money. You want to buy a bigger house in 5 years? What's that down payment look like? What's that closing cost look like? And then cut those into the months between now and then. How many months are in 5 years? You should know this off the top of your head. 60. How many months? Take yourself off mute. I want you to participate. If I can help you buy multiple houses and you guys have multiple streams of income, will that help your lifestyle? I made an extra $150,000 last year because of my rentals. Do you want to be there?
And you don't have to buy in the state you're in.
No, you
I
don't.
am a client of all of yours. You bring me the right deal in Arizona, I'll buy it.
You got to think about that. So let's say in 5 years from now, 60 months, you want to be able to buy something. Well, Dan, I got to have 20% down if I'm buying something as a second home. Yeah, but you don't have to have 20% down if you're buying something as your primary and keeping the last one.
You can use a HELOC for the 20%.
Yeah, we can also just say in 5 years from now I want to buy a house. Okay. Let's say a duplex. What's a duplex going to cost you? 400 grand? Rough mathing, right? $400,000. What is 20% down? $400,000. You guys should be quick in the math.
8-0.
Come on. Someone other than Jim.
80,000.
$80,000. Serena, thank you. Guys, Serena is at work at her other job, and she's answering better than you are. I bet Serena buys her investment property before you do. Because she's engaged. She's invested. But $80,000. $80,000. Holy crap. $80,000 is a lot of money. It is. It's a ton of money, isn't it? But how long do we have to save for it?
Mm.
60 months. That's $1,334 a month. Can you save $400 a week somewhere, $333 a week? You need to make an extra $1,400 a month this year, which means an extra $16,800. In Tucson, that's roughly 2.5 deals extra this year. That 2.5 deals, unless you're Christina, that's only one of her deals. These monster fucking price tags that she gets. One deal a year. You put that money directly in the bank account across town that you can't even talk to, and you find a way to pay the taxes on it outside of that money. And you put that money in an account for the next 5 years. You think you can come across the deal and have $80,000, $90,000 in the bank waiting for you to go invest somewhere cool? Raise your hand if 5 years is too far away. Anthony, how old will your daughter be in 5 years?
She will be almost 15.
Okay. So you have 8 years before it matters. Why am I thinking 18, Anthony?
That's when she's out of the nest egg and has become her home.
It can become her home. Or and here's me. This is me and talking about this. Why do you think I have 5 rentals?
Because you got 5 kids.
I got 5 kids. I want each one of them to have one. But I want them to either live in it or rent it out themselves. I would love for them to, you can stay home and continue renting out that property. Save your money. Let's buy you another one.
Or house hack it while they're young and single, live in the master, rent out the rooms.
Yeah, have someone else pay down the mortgage. I don't care how destitute your life is right this second. How fucked you are right this second. How deep in the mud you are right this second. It doesn't matter. If you're willing to do the work, everything can change in the next 5 years. 5 years ago it was March 13th, 2020. Pretty simple math, right? It's 2025, 2020. What happened a month ago, 5 years? What happened 5 years ago, a month from now?
14 days to flatten the curve.
COVID.
Right? What happened? What happened? I heard it.
COVID.
COVID. What did COVID do for real estate?
Boom.
COVID made broke people billionaires. COVID made homeless people multi-investors. COVID made it possible to work from wherever you freaking wanted. Without COVID, do you think we would have this Zoom opportunity? Most of us wouldn't even know each other existed. 5 years ago, life was completely different. 5 years ago, to the day, 5 years ago, I was living in my dad's spare bedroom. 5 years ago, I was sharing a bedroom with my son. 5 years ago, I was making less than $60,000 a year. It was the turning point in my life where I said no more. 5 years ago, I put an offer in on a house. 5 years ago, I didn't know what I was going to do. But 6 years ago, I decided I was no longer going to live the life that I wanted to live. And in that, I made $40,000 in 3 months. I told my dad, I will not live in your house longer than 1 year. And he said, son, I don't care. You can stay as long as you need. I said, Dad, it's not about that. It's about me, because I can't stay in comfort. I can't stay where it's easy. Fast forward, right? I closed on my house April 7th, 4/7/2020, roughly 5 years ago. And since then, my wife and I got back together. I fixed a lot of the shit that was broken in my life. Got my money paid, right? Paid off nearly $1 million in debt. Bought a second home. My wife and I and my family moved into. Went from a $250,000 house to a $500,000 house. Never in my life would I think I'd ever own something that was $500,000. It makes me sick to think about the debt liability I am now under. $560,000 purchase price, and I was all too excited to buy it. But I put ourselves in a position where our family got to live together in a bigger house. But not only that, we kept the house I bought in 2020, and my wife kept the house she bought in 2017 or 2018. So right there, does that give us 2 rentals? Right away. Boom, 2 rentals. 10 days later, we find out the grandma's dying. We are not in a position to do anything to help other than be there as an emotional support. But we then find out there's an opportunity for us to move into and take over ownership of the estate house, which is a multi-million-dollar property. Can I tell you the weight that was on my shoulders for my wife and I trying to figure out how to do this? It took over $150,000 worth of initial investment to make that house livable for my family. Then we move into it 6 months later. But we kept the house that we had put $60,000 worth of rehab into and became a short-term rental. That's making an average of $6,000 a month. Now, how many rentals do I have? We're up to 3. Now, into this
And your primary, right?
Don't count the primary. Don't count the
Okay.
primary. Now, in this equation, we're only at 2023, 3 years into this whole chaos in 5 years. The week I got married, my mother fell down the stairs and broke her neck. A lot of you didn't know that. So I told my mom, we are going to get you a different home that does not have stairs. Because my mom wants to live on her own. She doesn't want to be put in a home. She wants to be self-sufficient. Can you be self-sufficient if you keep falling down the stairs? No. So it's on my plan. It's on my radar. This is February 3rd, 2023. I had this conversation. That's the day I got married. 2323. I remember it very clearly. And so my mom and I started talking about a plan, and my wife and I started talking about a plan, and we found out we want my mom to live in a neighborhood that's similar to the place that we own 2 houses in. So we put a plan in place. When we find the right house, we're going to make it work. I don't know how, but we're going to make it work. My buddy calls me up, says, my dad wants to sell his house. He lives on this street. That street is 2 streets away from the house I originally bought in 2020. Already my head's going, oh crap, let's make this work. So I go there. We talk to the seller. We make a plan. I represent both sides for no compensation. Plus I negotiate some credits. My mom moves into this house. I'm the co-owner. I had to help my mom buy it because she can't afford it on her Social Security income. So I was like, Mom, let's come up with this cash together. We come up with $50,000 together and we buy this house, down payment, closing costs. My mom has a 5-bedroom, 2-story house by herself. And she said, we should sell it. I have so much equity in it. I'm like, yeah, Mom, but you can also keep it, rent it out, and use that to pay off the mortgage of the house that you just bought. So my mom says, I don't want to handle that. It's your house, you handle it. How many rentals am I at now? 4. Because I'm taking care of my mom and she's living in my house and I'm renting out her old house, right? It became 4. Now we're in 2023 still, the end of 2023. This is November 2023. Cross into November, December, we get her moved in. All is great. I get the house rented. Now we're 2024, last year. Last year's plan was to buy one more house just so we had a smaller Airbnb. 2024 was brutally hard for me financially. I'm talking massively different in income and way more expensive. I think some of you felt the same thing. But out of the blue, a friend of mine who I sent a message to in 2023, I sent a message to, hey, by the way, did you know your house is going into foreclosure? Because I get the notice of sale every morning. She didn't. So for the year and a half, she was fighting it, trying to get it fixed. She reaches out to me and says, Dan, I don't know what to do. They're selling my house in 15 days at auction. Can you help me sell it? I'm like, 15 days? That's a little short of notice. So I start talking to her. We start figuring out the situation and she starts telling me her plans. And out of nowhere, an opportunity arose. And she says, why don't you buy it and I'll just rent it back from you? And I told her, I was like, for me to do that, I would have to buy it for this much for it to make sense. And she goes, I don't care. I just don't want to have to move. I can't afford renting somewhere else. And we've lived in this house since 2004. So being flat cash broke, paying my bills every month, and that's it. No sushi money. I didn't even have enough money for my hair treatment. I scraped together $21,980. Why do you think I had to come up with $21,980?
Back payment?
That is exactly what she owed that needed to be paid off in 15 days so that it did not foreclose on her house. Where the hell am I going to get $21,980 when I am the most successful person in my chain of family where I can't call my dad and say, hey, Pops, let me borrow 21 grand.
You lock on one of your other rentals?
No. What I did is I went to everyone I knew starting at the top and said, hey, who do you know that does hard money loans? Who do you know would be interested in partnering? Who do you know that can help me come up with $21,980? And I didn't even think about asking Jess's mom, my mother-in-law who lives in our guest house. Jess heard me talking about it, said something to Connie, and Connie goes, would you guys be buying that together? I'm like, absolutely. Anything Jess and I have purchased after we were wed is 50-50. And Connie goes, I've got that much cash. When do you need it? I said, yesterday. She goes, okay. Pay me back $1,000 a month and I'll give you the cash. When I tell you everything can be completely different in 5 years, That's my story of 5 years. Now, how many rentals do I have? And
I
were
got-
any of them a stretch for me? No, it just happened. But when opportunity knocks, answer the door and figure it the fuck out. The worst thing you could possibly do is regret not taking action. I talk about there's a house on Thornydale and Cortero I drive by all the time and I kick myself over. It's a duplex. It's one of the only duplexes on the northwest side. It's on an acre on the corner, and I could have bought it for $150,000 because my mom knew the people that were living in it and they were getting foreclosed on, and the bank said, who can take over your mortgage and rent it back to you? They came to me, I was 23, 24, 25, I don't know. But I was too scared to make the decision. I'm like, 150 grand is a lot of money, Mom. I don't have that. I didn't know I could have just signed a piece of paper and took over the note.
Or you could have lived in one, rented the other with an FHA.
Yeah. This house sold in 2020 for $590,000.
And the disgusting part, even on an FHA, your payment would have been what, $900 a month for both units?
Easily. I could have rented one of them for $900 a month. Still rent it for $1,500 now. I tell you this story not to boast, not to brag, but to put light on the fact that if you want to do something, if you want to change your entire stripes 5 years from now, it's put a plan in and say, I'm no longer going to live where I'm living now. I'm no longer going to do the things that I'm doing now. You may not know where the opportunity is going to come from. But if you're open to it, you're receptive to it, and you're willing to partner with those others around you, 50% of something is better than all of nothing. Yeah, I got to pay $1,000 a month to my mother-in-law. But I'm also making $500 a month in profit on that rental. So yeah, I got 20 months to repay her back for the down payment. But after that, I'm sitting on $170,000 in equity. Most millionaires don't have cash in the bank. They have equity in their assets. Do you want to be a millionaire?
And it would have cost you, if you got that hard money loan, it would have cost you a lot more than $1,000 a month.
Yeah, hard money loan would have been about $1,500 to $1,900 a month, depending on what I was going to.
And probably interest only.
Yeah, that was. And the thing is Connie wasn't in a position to rent them. It just happened to be in that moment she had $20,000 in cash because she sold a car that she didn't need anymore. And instead of putting that money in the bank, she put that money to use, and she's making a little bit of interest on it. I did calculate an interest for her, so she's making money on her money. Guys, listen to me when I tell you, if you want something different, go get it. Everything can change. If you want to buy a multi-property, you want to buy a duplex, you want to buy an apartment, it doesn't matter. Start thinking about it now. Put some money aside so that when opportunity knocks, you can answer the door. Not every day do you fall into amazing deals. But when you fall into an amazing deal, I want you to be in a position where you can say, you know what? I don't know how I can buy this, but I know I want to. And then reach out to someone like Jim, to myself, to Anthony, or another investor and say, hey, I think this is a great deal. What do you think? Do you want to partner on it? My broker at the time, when I was talking about another deal that I could have bought, and I still kick myself over because I didn't have the $19,000 for the down payment and closing costs. She goes, I would have given it to you and partnered on the deal. That was a great buy. Why didn't you tell me about it? I was like, because you're a broker. I don't think you cared. And for those of you who know Lisa Sullivan, she was a very, very affluent investor. She owns hundreds of houses. But the one thing I learned is my ego is the worst of my enemies. I don't need help. I'll figure it out. No, go get help. Go ask somebody. Because 50% of something is better than all of nothing. So I hope that you guys saw the last 5 years as an opportunity for you to change the next 5 years. Are you in? Guys, I'm not smart. Well, that's a lie. I'm intelligent as shit, but I'm not smarter than you. I'm not better than you. I'm not luckier than you. I just got started before you did. I wish I had learned what I know now 10 years ago. I wish someone would have pulled me by the ear and say, listen, dummy, in the next 10 years, you're going to make millions of dollars and you're going to throw it away. How does that feel in your gut? I made between 20 and 30, I made an average of $150,000 a year for 10 years. Now I'm 38. 18 years ago, if I had started this journey, right? If I were where Jess is at, if I was where my kids are at, life would be completely different. My dad one day was driving with me across town. I don't know what we were doing, but I remember him apologizing to me because I was talking about one of the investment properties that we were working on or something. He goes, son, I'm sorry I failed you. I never knew about investments. And he said, could you imagine where we would be right now if I did? I'm like, yeah, Dad, I can, but that's why my kids will know about them. That's why everyone around me will know it's potentially awesome. It's a lot of work. It's a freaking nightmare sometimes too. It's stressful as hell. But if you're smart with your money and you realize I'm going to pay me first, I'm going to put money aside for my investment properties. I don't care if it's $100 a month. You put yourself in a position to take advantage of opportunities because luck happens at the culmination of timing and opportunity. After all, that's why you keep seeing people, man, he's so lucky. No, he probably got himself in a position to be successful. Oh, she's so lucky. No, she made sure that she was ready for that conversation when that conversation happened.
Or you take a calculated risk and just know the math.
Yeah, there's great
If you
books
listen
out
to
there.
the math, you're more than likely going to be safe.
Yeah, there's a lot of great books out there. And if you're like Jessica and Jim and you love numbers and details, facts and data, read the books. There's a great book. I've got it it's in my closet at home. I look at it every day. It's Real Estate by the Numbers. It's a fantastic book to understand deals.
An important note is the power of, okay, you can't change the past. Do you realize it now? Change your future. Doesn't matter how late you are.
No, there's no reason to live tomorrow like you live today if you weren't happy. If you weren't happy yesterday, then why the hell is today going to look similar? There's no reason tomorrow can't be different for all of us. And I'm excited for every one of you guys to be an investor, a multi-investor, a seasoned investor. I own partial ownership of 8 other houses that I don't even talk about because they make me an average of $25 a month. But if you put it all together, 500 from one house, 400 from another, $25 from one house, one of my rentals, I make $18 because of the delta between what I'm paying and what they're paying. But then there's deductions in my taxes. There's write-offs in my expenses. I get to save money on the government fees. It all works out in my benefit. So tomorrow we're going to talk about the 4 ways to make money in real estate. You'll be surprised that one of them just happens to be taxes. So any other thoughts, comments, questions on that? I know we went a little long, but I hope it resonated in your soul.
Looking forward to tomorrow.
All right, we'll talk about bring it tomorrow.